Welcome back to MovieProfessional.com. So today we're going to look at the 4 Ds of pressure therapy using a Pso-Rite for the under surface of the armpit close to the subscapularis muscle. And we're going to look at this as we try to dissociate shoulder internal external rotation and also shoulder overhead flexion from any type of thoracic extension or too much spinal extension. All right, so first thing we have to do is identify where we're actually trying to put this thing. So I haven't been able to find a better object for getting to this area, which is quite tricky to get. So other than getting manual therapy, which is very valuable in this area, I found that the Pso-Rite is really one of the best areas to really get, or best tools to get into this area, because it's under the armpit. So I can't just take a foam roller and roll on the outside here. I actually have to go deep in here. So I have the shirt off so you can actually see this anatomy here, because I'm going to take my thumb and kind of go right on the border here. So if I could take my hand, thumb there, and then I have the outer fingers grabbing the outside of the shoulder blade, that's really where I want to go. I want to go where this thumb is, and there's some depth there. So any type of object that is too broad is just going to smash right on top of it. It's not going to be able to get any depth there. So we really need these little pillars here of the Pso-Rite to get here. This is pretty intense, so for a lot of people this might not be your first option, but if you've been doing some pressure therapy work for a while and you really want to start to free up some of the last little bits of shoulder overhead flexion, most people are a bit restricted in this underarm subscapularis region. It's a real valuable tool to work with. It's just you want to take some time here. So the first D, we have to desensitize. We really got to respect the idea of desensitizing here. So what I'm going to do is use this pillar that's closest to the camera. I'll show on my right arm, but you can easily do this on the left. I'm going to try to just get that in there, and I'm going to stay upright first, because the deeper I get into this, the more uncomfortable it's going to be. And then I'm going to find a spot where I feel like it's really sunken in, and to know that I'm actually on the muscle I'm trying to get on, I'm going to start to rotate my palm up. So if I'm on the subscapularis, when I do that, it's an internal rotator, so I'm externally rotating right now, so that should create a little bit of a lengthening of that muscle. And then when I go the other way and I press my thumb down into the ground, I should feel the muscle contract, so it pushes the Pso-Rite pillar out. So I'm going to go this way and stretch, this way, and then I'm going to contract. So now I'm pretty sure I'm on the right spot. Now I'm going to fall into it a little bit deeper. I'm going to get more prone. I'm going to flatten my head. I'm looking away. All right. If I want to create more pressure, I actually am going to turn towards side lying a little bit more. And every time I make a little adjustment, the pressure deepens. I have to relax and desensitize, because this one's pretty intense, and just let it happen, let it sink in. So the duration here that we're working with, at least 2 minutes. A good portion of this early on might just be trying to stay here and desensitize and breathe. We might not be doing a lot of motion. All right, so once we've desensitized, we take a couple breaths. I can have a conversation. I'm not holding my breath. I'm not screaming. I'm not grunting. Then I can start thinking about creating some motion. So one option would be to just try to turn the palm up, turn the palm down, and feel the difference between external rotation of the shoulder and internal rotation while I'm in this overhead position. Another option would be to try to create a little pelvic tilt here, so I take some extension out of my spine and then create a reaching motion. So I'm going to turn my thumb up a bit, but I'm going to try to reach my fingers away from the shoulder as if someone was pulling the shoulder out of the socket. And then I relax and repeat. Reach, turn, and then let it go and let it sink in a little deeper. I wouldn't even think about trying to lift this arm off the ground. First thing I would want to do is just create that turning of the palm up, that external rotation, supination of the forearm, and then reaching the arm long until that feels like there's not as much restriction, not as much guarding there. If at some point that gets to be easier, then you can keep taking the reach a little farther and hover. But I wouldn't go for that right away, because you're going to compensate, you're going to shrug your shoulder, you're going to squeeze your shoulder blades together, and it's going to hurt like hell, and then you're going to guard even more. So be gentle here, take your time. If you want to make this a little easier, you can try putting a towel roll right on the pillar, but then it won't be as specific. You won't be able to get quite the same depth, but it'll be a lot gentler. You'll be able to desensitize a little bit easier. All right, so first D, desensitize to it so that you can allow for the second D, which is to deepen the pressure into this underarm region, which is really getting to the front part of the shoulder blade or scapula. And then we dissociate. So in this case, I'm gonna go external, internal rotation while maintaining the pressure and actually feeling that when I externally rotate, I'm getting a little bit of a lengthening of the tissue. When I internally rotate, I feel like I'm pushing out there, so I know I'm on the muscle. I know I'm moving specifically from the area I want to move from. And then we can add a little bit of a reaching on the inhale, which moves that scapula up a little bit, which would be what we would need to have happen when we're going overhead. And we could separate that. Eventually, we might be even able to hover that off the ground while the pressure is still in that subscap area. All right, and then always the last D is just spend enough time there, duration. So you may need more than a couple of minutes here because it's going to take so long for you to desensitize. So 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes, maybe longer. Is just give yourself time. Don't try to be moving the whole time. Don't try to be aggressive the whole time. But spend a little more time with this one to desensitize. And then you, at the end, the tail end, you can start adding some movement to it. Hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions, you can go to movementprofessional.com. I'll see you next time.